Right now, something extraordinary is happening in the world. Two superpowers are racing for control over one of the most powerful technologies humanity has ever created, artificial intelligence. The United States understands that whoever controls advanced AI systems will dominate global economy and the battlefield. China understands exactly the same. This is why the fight over semiconductors, data and computing power has become one of the most important geopolitical struggles over time, because history teaches us something very clear. Every major technological revolution reshapes the balance of power, and when the balance of power shifts, the world changes. That is what this presentation is about, the architecture behind disruption. When new technologies emerge, they rarely stay confined to laboratories or factories. They ripple through entire economies. They reshape industries, they redefine productivity, and eventually they influence military power. The countries that adopt new technologies early gain enormous advantages. Their economies expand faster, their companies become global leaders, their strategic influence grows. Technology doesn't just improve the world, technology redraws the map. And there are hidden patterns in history, and we will study them today. If we step back and observe the last 200 years of history, a clear pattern begins to appear. First comes technological innovation. That innovation creates economic growth, and economic growth allows nations to expand military capability. And once military powers shift, geopolitical tensions begin to rise. Technology, economic power, military strengths, geopolitical conflict. This cycle has repeated itself many times. Let's start with the Napoleonic Wars. Industrial capacity changed warfare. For the first time, armies could be supplied continuously through large-scale manufacturing. Weapons could be produced faster, logistics improved dramatically. Military campaigns expanded across entire continents. The Napoleonic Wars showed how industrial production could support sustained military conflict. So let's talk about these revolutions. The first industrial revolution began with mechanization. Steam engines powered by factories, production increased dramatically. Britain adopted these technologies earlier and faster than any other nation, and that industrial advantage translated directly into geopolitical power. Factories produced chips, factories produced weapons, factories produced the industrial capability that allowed Britain to dominate global trade routes and global influence. And the second industrial revolution accelerated everything. Electricity transformed cities and factories. Railways connected entire nations. Steel production allowed stronger infrastructure and more powerful military equipment. Armies could move faster. Industries could produce more. Competition between the great powers increased. And that led into World War I. World War I demonstrated the full impact of industrial warfare. Machine guns changed infantry combat. Heavy artillery reshaped battlefields. Trench systems stretched across entire regions. Factories supported the battlefield with weapons, ammunition and equipment at unprecedented scale. War had become industrial. And this led into World War II. In the Second World War, technological development accelerated even further. Radar systems transformed defense. Aircraft production reached enormous industrial scale. Rocket technology emerged. And at the end of the war, one technological breakthrough changed the entire strategic landscape: the atomic bomb. One innovation shifted the balance of global power. And this technological advantage led us into something we call the Cold War. The Cold War introduced a different form of geopolitical competition, a competition centered around technological superiority. The space race, early computer developments, missile systems, technology had become the central element of strategic power. Today we are entering the next technological revolution: artificial intelligence, semiconductors, robotics, and quantum computing. These technologies are becoming the foundation of the next economic and geopolitical power structure. The nations and companies that lead in these technologies will shape the future and the global order. And the pattern holds. When we study history carefully, the pattern becomes clear. Technological revolutions create new economic leaders. Economic leadership translates into military capability. And when the balance of power shifts, geopolitical instability follows. That's what we exactly experience at the moment. The cycle continues. That's why we need to prepare for the future. So the important question is not whether the world will change. History shows that it will. The real question is how entrepreneurs, investors, and families position themselves in a world that is becoming increasingly uncertain. Throughout history, those who thrive during global tensions are those who structure themselves internationally. They diversify jurisdictions, they diversify banking relationships, they diversify assets and investments. They think globally. If technological revolutions reshape geopolitics, then financial strategy must adapt as well. This is where the concept of the flag theory becomes extremely powerful. The flag theory is a strategy that is used by globally mobile entrepreneurs and investors to diversify their legal, financial, and geographic exposure across multiple jurisdictions. It allows individuals to create resilience in an unprecedented world. In our upcoming free webinar, we will explain how this works in practice, how international entrepreneurs structure their assets, how they diversify banking access, how they legally position themselves across jurisdictions to protect wealth and create opportunity. If you want to understand how to build a global strategy that protects and strengthens your position during uncertain times, join our free webinar. Because understanding disruption is valuable, but positioning yourself before disruption unfolds is what truly matters.